If you're sitting there with bad credit, but you're looking for large business loans, guess what? I've got great news for you because in today's conversation, what I want to do is compare and contrast BlueVine, Base to Credit, On Deck, and Rapid Finance. Don't go anywhere. You're going to love it. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you're all doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you gotta ask me. If you are doing as excellent as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I really want to talk to you about very large business loans for poor or fair credit. We're talking here about up to $5 million guaranteed approval. And we are comparing the wonderful lending options provided by BlueVine, Base to Credit, On Deck, and Rapid Finance. One thing I really want to say before we get into the actual nitty gritty, the actual review here is that if you are an entrepreneur or you are a small business owner and you have bad credit, there are a lot of ways you can actually counter that negativity, that quote unquote negativity coming from your personal credit. You can basically switch to an EIN only credit arrangement. You can also try to improve your personal credit. You can look for co-signers. You can look for what we call collateralized business loans, in other words, asset-based loans. It's very important because if you are a small business or a startup and you have bad credit, without funding, you can't really make it, right? Because you got to survive in the first 6-9 months, and with funding, unless you have cash stashed somewhere under the mattress, you got to get funding from any kind of source, right? It can be a bank, it could be a credit union, it could be a fintech, it could be an alternative lender, the whole 9 yards. But you do need cash. And when we speak about business loans for poor credit and no personal guarantee, because that's another important criterion. You don't want to you want to cover your ass. Very important. Don't risk anything. Don't pledge any personal collateral. Don't pledge any personal guarantee. You want to have an EIN only business loan for poor credit. And this is what exactly BlueVine, Base to Credit, On Deck, and Rapid Finance do offer. And when we talk about business loans for poor credit, we are talking about a constellation of funding arrangements. So you have term loans, lines of credit, you can have equipment loans, you can have invoice financing arrangement, you can have invoice factoring arrangements, aka accounts receivable factoring arrangements, right? You also have another lesser known type of funding, which is the MCA, what I call business payday loan. So MCA stands for merchant cash advances. And I'm only telling you this, I'm only speaking to you about the wide area of business loans because when you go to BlueVine, when you go to Biz to Credit, when you talk to On Deck, when you talk to Rapid Finance or any other business lender out there, you better have an idea, a clear idea yourself about the type of loan you want, the type of loan you need, and the type of loan that you can get easily based on your credit. And the thing here is that if you want to get a business loan with poor credit from BlueVine, Biz to Credit, On Deck, and Rapid Finance, please start working on improving your personal credit. You can get the loan, don't get me wrong, you can get the loan, but the whole idea is to get the loan at favorable rates, right? You want to have an APR in double digits. You don't want to have an APR in the triple digits. That's crazy, right? That's just going to kill your cash flows, and you don't want that. So you want to improve your personal credit. You want to build your business credit score. In other words, you want to start thinking about getting business trade lines. You want to think about getting those sort of corporate charge cards and other type of funding arrangements that will help you ultimately improve your business credit score. You also want to pay attention to the business plan. You got to have a business plan. I don't care what kind of business you're in. A lot of folks are just sitting around. They're thinking, well, I'm not sophisticated. I'm not big. My business is small, so I don't need a small business plan. Guess what? You are so wrong. If you're thinking that way, you are really wrong. You need a solid business plan. I don't care the size of your business. You got to have a compelling business plan, because the business plan is your resume. It is your company's resume. It is the snapshot, the synopsis that talks about where your company has been, where your company is, and where your company is trying to go. Okay, and when we speak about business loans for bad credit, you also need to understand exactly the requirements, the loan options, the cost, things like down payments, factor rate, origination fee, underwriting fee, closing cost, additional fees, the APR. Those are very important. Okay. Before I get into the actual review here, please check out our short methodology. We have a video that tells you how we go about reviewing, categorizing, and evaluating business loans on this show. Check this out. All right, now let's get into the actual review here. First, let's talk about BlueVine. When you think about BlueVine, I want you to think about the best platform out there for bad credit. This is a platform that specializes in large business loans for bad credit. Minimum credit score on the platform, 500. Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. At least if you're in that category, that's fantastic. And the thing here is that with BlueVine, they've been around for a while. They were established nearly a decade ago, actually in 2013 to be more precise. And here is a company that is it's a lender that is well run. They take care of the customers, the borrowers. They really want the borrowers to actually improve their bottom line. And the loan types here are they offer three types of loan types. So they have invoice factoring, lines of credit, and term loans. And the maximum loan amount here is $5 million. Okay, and again, BlueVine has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. That's fantastic. Triple B, fantastic. So when we talk about what we love in terms of the pros and cons here, the pros: invoice factoring credit line can be as large as $5 million. The loans, if you want to have a business term loan, you can get you can go all the way to $1 million. And the disbursement usually occurs within 24 hours. So you're getting your cash. So if you apply in the morning, you're getting your cash in the evening or the next morning. That's great, especially if you're a startup and your startup or you're an established business and you need the cash ASAP. It's important to rely on a business lender that will take care of you. That's for the pros. The cons: BlueVine, sometimes they may require a general lien on business assets. It depends on the size and what I call like what you need the money for. Okay. The intent of the loan proceeds, and that will be actually clarified in your business plan. So because BlueVine is trying to cover their ass too, it's all about risk mitigation, right? So they will be asking you what kind of intent you have for the loan, and they will evaluate whether or not they should ask for a general lien. And another drawback is that we've seen that brand new startup businesses are not accepted. Now it depends on the location, and it depends on the solidity of the business plan. So work on that. And one thing I also want to say before I go to the next one is that BlueVine business loans are best for businesses that want to leverage unpaid invoices. This is why we're talking about invoice factory, right? Businesses that have been established for at least 3 months, and businesses that want access to funds in about 24 hours or less. And one thing I also want to say before moving on to the next one is that BlueVine has a business checking solution. Okay, so we're talking here about loans, but it's always good to have a checking account with the lender. That way, it helps accelerate or improve your chances of being approved. So they do have a business checking solution. You might want to double check it. Let me talk to you about Biz2 Credit. Here is another solid player that will give you a large business loan. And whenever we talk about Biz2 Credit, based on our research, we constantly think about a platform that gives you a wide constellation of loan options. Whether you are a startup or you are a business, an established business with bad credit, doesn't matter. Low credit, no credit, they really don't care. I mean, they do care, but it's not an important criterion in the underwriting process. And the minimum credit score with Vista Credit is 525. And this is a company that was founded about 15 years ago, and it's not a direct lender. It's a platform to match small businesses with funding based on their needs by connecting borrowers with lenders that offer a range of loans and credit options. And based on our research, here is a platform that has arranged more than three to $4 billion in small business funding for thousands of U.S. companies. So you are in good hands here. If I were to quote the commercial, my point is that when you go to Vista Credit, you have access to a wide array of loans. You have lines of credit, you have term loans, and you have merchant cash advances. And the maximum loan amount, $6 million. Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. You bet it is beautiful. And Vista Credit also has a solid rating from BBB. So they have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. What are the pros and cons here? They use a network of financial institutions because, again, they are a loan matchmaking spot, and they will match borrowers with loan options, and they offer a wide constellation of loans. What about the cons here? They, as I said earlier, Vista Credit is not a direct lender, okay? And sometimes they allow their lending guidelines to vary. So this dynamic state of things might actually not be good for certain startups who want stability, but overall we think Vista Credit is a great player. And what kind of loans can you get with Vista Credit? The whole 9 yards, if I may. Merchant cash advances, SBA loans, business lines of credit, real estate financing, equipment financing, franchise loans, disaster loans, business acquisition loans, business credit cards, unsecured loans, bad credit business loans, and working capital loans. This is pretty cool. And in terms of their fees are reasonable also, and they do have a great customer service. So Vista Credit business loans are best for businesses that want to have a one source for many loan options, businesses that have at least $10,000 in monthly revenue, and businesses looking for industry-specific loans. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Story Kiwi Show. I'm still having a compare and contrast between BlueVine here, Vista Credit, On Deck, and Rapid Finance. And what are we talking about? We're talking about large business loans for poor credit, okay? And now let's talk about On Deck. So with On Deck, you are looking at the minimum credit score is 535. And we love the fact that On Deck is great for short-term loans. If you really, if you don't want to tie yourself in a lending arrangement for, say, 10 years or 5 years, you just want to get the cash and really for a quick business opportunity, get the cash and repay the bank or the lender, then On Deck is a great player to consider. And they are an online lender providing small businesses with term loans and lines of credit. And they've been around for a while. They've been doing a lot of good work here. And the maximum loan amount that you can get from On Deck is $2 million. And of course, here is another player that has an A+ in terms of their BBB rating. And what are the pros and cons here? Pros: both term loans and lines of credit are available on the platform, and borrowers with FICO credit scores of 500 or higher may be approved, and loans from 5,000 to 500,000 are available. What we've seen is that depending on the location, you can get all the way to 2 million, as I said earlier. What are the cons in our view here? Businesses must have at least $100,000 in minimum annual revenue to qualify. So you're looking at what? You're looking at probably around $8,000, $8,500 per month in revenue, and pre-qualification is not available. And another thing I want to say clearly before moving on here is that when you look at On Deck, I want you to think about a platform that is great for businesses that want to choose between a term loan and line of credit. A business that wants up to 3 years to pay off loans, right? Again, as I said earlier, if you don't want to tie yourself into a loan arrangement for 10 years, go to On Deck, right? 3 years is pretty cool. You get the cash. You just use the cash for whatever you need the cash for, and you just pay them back. And if you are also a business with at least 1 year in operation and you have at least 100,000 in annual revenue, you might find On Deck fantastic. We love their customer service. This company is really great, and they do have an estimated approval time of less than 24 hours once all information is submitted. And disbursement is typically available within 2 business days. All right, that's pretty cool. I want to talk to you now about Rapid Finance, one of our favorite players also. So when you think about Rapid Finance, you want to think about a very agile lender, alternative lender. With Rapid Finance, you get the whole 9 years. Minimum credit score 475. You heard that right, 475. And they're able to actually lower the bar, quote unquote, lower the bar that much because a lot of their loans are collateralized. Okay, so when we speak about merchant cash advances or asset-based loans, those are commercial real estate loans. Those are collateralized loans. So the personal credit in that process doesn't matter anyway, right? And in our view, Rapid Finance is great for product availability. So they offer lines of credit, merchant cash advances, and SBA bridge loans from $5,000 to $1 million. Approval in 24 hours is available with 1-day disbursement. Okay, and besides bridge loans, you also have invoice factoring. You have the term loans also, and we love the fact that Rapid Finance is rated A+ on the BBB website. And what are the pros and cons here? The pros of Rapid Finance. So they can fund business loans as fast as 1 day. Multiple loan options are available with funds of up to $1 million. And borrowers with all types of credit may be approved. That's what I was just telling you earlier, that when we speak about Rapid Finance's loans, we're not really paying attention to personal credit because at the end of the day, everything goes EIN. Everything goes based on the asset, the underlying asset. Okay. And what are the cons here? So unlike many other business lenders, Rapid Finance offers loans with a monthly fee instead of an annual percentage rate. So this is how they get the money. So it's more expensive. What I'm trying to say here is that a loan from Rapid Finance is more expensive, but the possibilities, the chances of getting that loan approved are higher. And another drawback in our view is that the smallest loan amount available is $5,000. So if you just want to get a $3,000 or $4,000, you might not qualify, for a loan with Rapid Finance. And you know what? That kind of makes sense. If you really are looking for a small business loan, there are other cheaper alternatives. For example, you can get a loan at a nonprofit business lender like Kiva or Action. You don't want to go to Rapid Finance. They're just gonna, quote unquote, kill you with their high APR. So you want to go to, or you can even go to a credit union, right? So if you have a need for a small loan amount, don't go to Rapid Finance. And we love the fact that with Rapid Finance, their loans are great for businesses that want fast funding, they want a short-term loan, and they have at least $5,000 in monthly revenue. All right, folks. So you've heard the compare and contrast of those 4 players, right? Now the question is, which one should you choose? If you are faced with the decision, you are a business owner, you're a startup owner, and you are thinking about whether to get a loan from BlueVine, Biz2Credit, On Deck, or Rapid Finance. My answer to you is it depends. It depends on a couple of things. So you have to look at what matters to you in a lender. For example, you have to look at loan options, eligibility requirements, the cost, and the customer service. The great thing here is that all 4 lenders that we have reviewed in today's conversation, they have excellent customer service. In terms of loan options, of course, the thresholds, the loan amounts vary. The term, the duration of the loan varies, right, depending upon the lender. You also want to pay attention to eligibility requirements because I told you that, for instance, for some lenders on this show, the minimum credit score was 525. Another it was 575. Another was 475. You got to pay attention to the minimum years in business and the minimum annual revenue. So you want to actually compare and contrast what the lender is asking for versus what you can offer. For example, if a lender is asking you for $100,000 in annual revenue for the business, do you have that? Can you generate it? Okay. You also want to pay attention to things like you want to pay attention to the cost. So when I speak about the cost, I speak about a wide array of criteria. So you have the annual percentage rate, aka APR, the down payments, the factor rate, the origination fee, the underwriting fees, the closing costs, the additional fees. Those are very important, and this is the kind of criteria that would inform a borrowing decision from you. And you also want to check that loan limits and terms are in line with your credits and with your needs. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say you require a $250,000 loan with a 7-year repayment term. You don't want to apply with a lender that makes only small short-term business loans, right? So make sure you think about that before making the decision. All right, folks. This was our call, or the short convo I wanted to have with you today about large business loans for poor credit. So we were comparing and contrasting BlueVine, Biz2Credit, On Deck, and Rapid Finance. Our pick, our choice, our favorite, BlueVine. So we have scored BlueVine 10 over 10, Biz2Credit 9.5 over 10, On Deck 9.5 over 10, Rapid Finance 9 over 10. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.